Good afternoon, friends. Today I'm going to be doing a gameplay breakdown of Raid Lightsmith Avenging Crusader build. A lot of people asked for this after I released the Mythic Plus version, so I recorded a progression poll from last night's raid so you guys could get a better idea of how I play this build in Raid. A lot of you guys asked in the last video for me to move my action tracker from the top left, so I have shifted it down to right below my player frame and I switched it to an icon version instead, so hopefully that's easier to visualize my rotation. To start off here, we're just going to do a basic opener. We're getting out our armaments on pull, and then we're just going to be DPSing. Now, it's important to remember that with this build, you want to press Avenging Crusader as much as possible. However, only during damage events. You really don't want to just be slamming it when everyone's at full health just for damage. That's not what this spec is about. So make sure that you're not just pressing it for fun on pull. Wait until the first damage event. So here you're just going to see me basically doing DPS, throwing out some Shield of the Righteouses, throwing out Holy Shocks, getting everything set up, and making sure I have a Blessed Assurance ready for as soon as I pop wings, which just means that you want to press your Light of Dawn or Word of Glory once before you press your wings so that you can immediately Crusader Strike once you wings and get your empowered Blessed Assurance heal. For anyone wondering what Blessed Assurance is, if you don't know, that is a hero talent on the Lightsmith tree that buffs the damage of our next Crusader Strike by 120%. This is incredibly important for the Avenging Crusader build because obviously any damage that we deal with Crusader Strike during Avenging Crusader gets converted to healing. So it makes our Crusader Strike heal for a lot more. That has basically made our rotation inside of Avenging Crusader be Judgment, Crusader Strike, Fender. And you just loop those three over and over and over and over and over again. Here is where you're going to see the first damage event occur. And with this first damage event, I'm going to pop Avenging Crusader. I go straight into Judgment, Crusader Strike, Spender. Judgment, Crusader Strike, Spender. That time I did Crusader Strike, Judgment, Spender. Really doesn't matter. As long as you're weaving in any type of Spender in between your Crusader Strikes, you're going to be doing a lot of healing. So right there, I Light of Dawn, then I press Crusader Strike, then I Word of Glory, then I Judgment, then I Crusader Strike. So you're seeing every single Crusader Strike that I press during this AC is empowered. Now, one thing that people ask about a lot is, should I be using Word of Glory or Light of Dawn? That's even more prevalent in this build compared to the Herald build, because in Herald, it's a lot easier to just say, always Word of Glory because we have Eternal Flame. However, with this build, we don't have Eternal Flame, and so choosing between Light of Dawn and Word of Glory is more important than ever. If you guys haven't watched it, please go check out my rating FAQ video. I talk a lot about Light of Dawn versus Word of Glory, and how I choose which in any given situation. Just to briefly explain right here, obviously the entire raid is at, 90% health. So this would be the perfect time to Light of Dawn. If you Word of Glory, most of it's just going to be overhealing, but if you Light of Dawn, you're going to get a lot of value from it. So you're going to see me press my triple Holy Shock, Light of Dawn, and then I Divine Toll, and then I Word of Glory the tank, and now I'm just going to start railing off Light of Dawns over and over and over again to try and get as much spread healing as possible without overcommitting too much to one person's health pool, since everyone is already very healthy. At this point, we're just going to be doing standard H-Power rotation. The key to Avenging Crusader is knowing the two rotations. You've got standard H-Power rotation, which you do outside of wings, which is where you prioritize Holy Shock and Spenders. And then you have inside of AC, which I already kind of went over, which is Judgment, Crusader Strike, and weaving in your Spenders in between your Crusader Strikes. The other thing I want to mention is that you're always going to press Divine Toll outside of AC, not during AC. The reason for this is because Divine Toll doesn't get buffed by Avenging Crusader at all, and the least priority abilities that we have during AC, not only Holy Shock, but also Spenders, unless it's weaving in between Crusader Strikes. So if you press Divine Toll during Avenging Crusader, you end up wasting a lot of Holy Power, unless you're just committing that Holy Power during Avenging Crusader, in which case you're wasting your Judgments and Crusader Strikes. So always make sure that you're spending your Divine Toll outside of AC. That's very, very, very important for this build. Here you're just going to see me building as many Awakening stacks as possible. Now I have my Awakening ready. Now, the Judgment that procs your Awakening is incredibly important in this build. It is absolutely essential that you track this and pay attention to it and play around it. The reason for this is the Judgment is guaranteed to crit. And Judgment crits proc Hammer and Anvil, which is one of our biggest sources of healing in Raid in this build. Also in Mythic Plus because it's just so overtuned, but especially in Raid. So Hammer and Anvil is going to proc as soon as you throw that judgment, and that judgment is going to proc AC, and the healing does transfer from AC from that initial judgment. So that initial judgment is going to do an absolutely massive amount of healing. Because of that, we want to make sure that we are holding it for actual damage and not just sending it on cooldown because it's available. So make sure that you're tracking that and that you're aware. Right here, you'll see it's available, but I'm going to wait to use it, not only because I have to go soak orbs and I can't be in melee, but also because the raid was pretty healthy. But as soon as I get back into melee, the raid is now not healthy, so I'm just going to send it right here and start spamming my AC rotation. We're moving. The nice thing about AC is that it doesn't matter if it's a high mobility fight. You don't have to worry about a lot of target selection while moving. You can literally just DPS the boss, and it'll do a ton of healing. I also think that's kind of the downside because personally, target selection is my favorite part of healing. However, that is definitely an upside for a fight like this. One thing I want to mention is that towards the end of your wings windows with AC, don't worry as much about Blessed Assurance. If you can get one extra Crusader Strike out or one extra Judgment out, that's more important than getting a Blessed Assurance. Because if you get your Blessed Assurance and then wings expires, that empowered Crusader Strike is pointless. So make sure towards the end of your wings windows that you just are spamming Judgment and Crusader Strike and getting them on cooldown and getting the heals out of them before your wings expires. As soon as this damage event hits, I'm going to pop wings again. Once again, just making sure that your wings timings correlate with the damage events of bosses and you're not just throwing them out randomly. That being said, you obviously want to be pressing Avenging Crusader as much as possible. So never sit on Avenging Crusader for too long. Always press it at the first damage event that happens. So here I'm just going to pop it, and we're just going to start doing our regular Judgment, Crusader Strike, Spender rotation over and over and over again. Here you're going to see me place a Sacred Weapon on Chur. The reason for that is Evokers get hit very, very hard during this phase because they're generally the ones who are carrying these webs. Anytime someone's getting hit, if you can place a Sacred Weapon on them, you become a spirit link with that person. That's one of our new talents called Tempered in Battle. Tempered in Battle is one of the most broken hero talents, or even just talents in general, this game has ever introduced. It definitely needs an ICD, but until it gets one, play around this. It is huge. You also need to be a little bit careful because it can be scary for you, so make sure anytime that you're health transferring a lot, that you press your defensive and make sure you're ready to bubble or health pot if needed, because it can drop your health low before an AoE damage event and then just get you killed. So just keep that in mind. It doesn't happen too much, but it is something to be aware of. So here you're going to see me place the weapon on Chur. And the reason for that is because he's getting dumpstered very heavily. So you're going to see as soon as the Sacred Weapon, as soon as he drops below 40%, you're going to immediately see the Sacred Weapon, boom. You see his health just burst up. That's the Sacred Health transfer. And you'll also see me press a defensive because I want to make sure that I'm not taking too much damage during this so that I have plenty of health to give him. The other thing you're going to see me do is lay on hands Soxy. I lay on hands him even though he was only at like 30% health. That's because this build gets so many lay on hands that you can just throw them out as much as you want. Don't be hesitant with your lay on hands. Obviously, it's still like a 2 to 3 minute cooldown, but it's significantly lower than any other build because of our hero talent that reduces it. So keep that in mind and make sure you're aggressive with your lay on hands cooldown usage. At this point, we're outside of our Avenging Crusader window, and we're just going to be spam healing the standard HPAL way, which is just Holy Shocks, Word of Glories, and Light of Dawns. Once again, we proc our Awakening, but we're sitting on it. We're waiting because we don't want to use it until there's an actual damage event to heal. So this is a little bit awkward because there's not really much I can do rotationally without pressing Judgment. You're going to see me end up just pressing Holy Light with my Divine Favor and waiting for this damage event, at which point I pop my Avenging Crusader. Now we're back into AC, standard rotation. We're moving with the boss. One thing you'll notice me do here is my AC is actually available to use right now, but I don't press it. And the reason for that is if you use Avenging Crusader while you have an Awakening proc active, and the same goes for regular wings, it will overwrite it. So you'll actually lose uptime. Now the reverse is not true. If you press wings first and then proc Awakening, it will extend it. But if you proc Awakening and then press wings, it will overwrite it. So it's important to keep that in mind and not waste your Avenging Crusader uptime by pressing Avenging Crusader while you have a proc active. So here you're just going to see me spend my stuff as much as I can right towards the end. And now, boom, it's over. So I'm just going to press regular AC, keep going in my cooldowns. The more cooldowns, the better with this build. You just want to make sure you are constantly slamming as much healing as you can. We're spot healing with Word of Glory while we can, and then just doing our standard rotation. Now AC is over, so now is when we're going to start spending. These Holy Shocks are triple Holy Shocks from using Avenging Crusader, but just because you get that proc doesn't mean you want to spend it during AC. You do not want to be using Holy Shock during AC. Keep in mind that Rising Sunlight lasts 30 seconds, so you have a long time to spend those Holy Shocks. So you want to wait to use those procs until after AC is over. Now that AC is over, you're going to see me start to use them. We're going to build up our Holy Power. We're going to spend our Holy Prism, which we were waiting to use. We're going to make sure we dump all our Holy Power. Now that all our Holy Power is gone, we're safe to Divine Toll, generate all that Holy Power back, and this is all just about building as many Awakening stacks as possible. So boom, right here, we're just going to Divine Toll. We're going to start spending as much as we can. Fortunately, Jalen gets hit by the frontal there. Not much we can do about that. And now we've spent all of our stuff. We're up to 13 stacks. We're about to get our big Awakening procs again. But we are actually going to hold on to this set of Awakening as well. So remember last time I talked about holding on. Once again, we're doing that same exact thing where we're just going to wait. You want to make sure two things are the case when you proc AC. One, that you are in melee and can stay in melee for the whole duration. And two, that there's an actual damage event that you're going to be healing by pressing it. Because don't forget how much that initial judgment is going to heal. So here you're going to see I can't actually stay in melee because we have to go break our webs. So we're just going to hold on to this Awakening until we can get closer to melee. Here I'm about to be in melee, so boom. Now I'm going to pop my judgment. We're going to proc this Awakening. We're going to start blasting HPS and making sure that the group stays alive as much as possible. Unfortunately, there were a few betrayals there, but nothing we can do about that. Once again, right here, our AC is off cooldown, but we're still in Awakening, so we're making sure to hold it until as soon as Awakening's over. Awakening just finishes, and we're immediately going to pop our actual AC. And so this is just going to be your standard AC rotation, nothing interesting. As soon as AC ends, we're back to casting Holy Shocks, trying to get as many Awakening stacks as we can, and looking for a good time to press Divine Toll. So now would not be a good time to press Divine Toll, even though it'd be good for Holy Power generation. It would be quite a waste to just send Divine Toll on air. So we're going to wait. Once again here, we get our Holy Power down to 0. Always important to drain your Holy Power before using your Divine Toll so that you get full value out of the Divine Toll. We're going to follow that up with spending all of our Holy Power and getting our Empowered Holy Shocks out. Now we're back up to 5 Holy Power. We've got our Blessed Assurance proc. People are in danger. It's time to press our Big Judgment Awakening proc. Boom, we press that. We start spending. I try to heal Youth, but unfortunately he flew out of range. Typical Evoker behavior. And yeah, then it's just, standard healing. We're back out. I'm opt here to hold on to this Avenging Crusader. You could press it, but if you'll see everyone's health, everyone is just at, 95%. So while it would be an okay use, I know that it's about to be the damage amp phase, and there's really not a whole lot that we can do with that Avenging Crusader from a healing perspective. So we're just going to sit here and DPS, build up our Awakening stacks as best we can, and get ready for the Intermission. And as soon as Intermission pops, I know that there actually is more damage events, so that's when we're going to press AC. So here's the Intermission. As soon as the damage comes out, we're just going to start pressing AC. We're going to do our standard Judgment Crusader strike, weave in Holy Power spenders while we walk around this boss. Really nice how much movement you can do with this build. Somebody gets impaled there, so I bop them. We run out of our AC here. Now that AC is gone, we're looking to Divine Toll. Knowing that I have 1 Holy Power here, my best plan is to spend that Divine Purpose proc, and now I should press Divine Toll. Ideally, that's what I do, and that is. As soon as the Divine Toll happens, we're going to start spending. We have now 3 charges of our triple Holy Shock, because we extended it. So there's 1, here's 2, and then 1 more should be coming out soon. However, now I have a Judgment Awakening proc, so I might just opt to spend that. And I do. So we're going to do that. Unfortunately, we could not save Zico, who got impaled, but that's all right. Can't save everyone. Focus on those that you can. And now we're out of AC again, so we're back to our standard rotation. Now at this point, we are looking for a good time to press AC. I have a choice here. I could press AC now because everybody is a little bit low, but I know that we have at least 5 seconds before the next swarm, and there's no other damage event from now until then. And swarm does a lot of AoE damage, so I really would prefer to have AC available for that. So I'm going to choose here instead to dump my holy power, ideally on a Word of Glory, and then just press Divine Toll and build up my awakening stacks as much as I can so that during the swarm, I can get an awakening stack to extend my AC. So hopefully that's what I do, and it is. You're just going to see me spending as much holy power as possible. Swarm is about to start. I have my Holy Bulwark up. I could opt to just press wings here and start healing. However, it's always best to get your maintenance spells out of the way before your throughput spells, right? And by maintenance, I mean stuff like Holy Bulwark and Sacred Weapon. Sacred Weapon and Holy Bulwark are both great abilities, but they are maintenance in terms of you just want to be pressing them on CD, but the actual press of them is not really going to give you much healing, right? So ideally, I want to get these 2 weapons out first and then pop my cooldowns. So that's what you're going to see me do here. I drop a Consecrate just for a little bit of extra damage. I think that's mostly just a Mythic Plus habit. Really shouldn't have done that there, especially since the damage event already started. There, I get both my weapons out, and then I immediately press my Avenging Crusader, and I just start blasting healing as much as possible. I still have a Blessed Assurance proc from earlier, so I'm just going to go straight into Judgment, Crusader Strike, and then I'm going to look to spend. Now, I end up pressing Holy Prism there. I think the reason that I opted to do that there was my Judgment is 1 GCD away from being up. I didn't want to spend that on Crusader Strike, so I had the option of either spending that on Holy Shock or Holy Prism. I opted for Holy Prism because I didn't want too much Holy Power generation to be wasted from my Holy Shock, since you can't really spend a ton during Avenging Crusader. You only want to spend once every 3 globals. So I opted instead for Holy Prism. Once again, standard rotation. You see I even pressed Tempered Potion. We can Tempered Potion with this build because you really don't need mana at all. Don't need to worry about mana potioning when you're running Faith. If you run Virtue, you'll probably need to worry about mana potioning more. We're outside of wings here, so we're just doing our standard Holy Shock, spend our Divine Favor, nothing very interesting. Once you get the hang of this rotation, it's very repetitive. It's very straightforward. That's the reason you see a lot of people kind of hate on this build, is because it is super simplistic and very straightforward once you get used to it. That's also kind of the upside, though, because it's very easy for newer players to get used to the rotation very quickly and to really get the most out of the spec without having to put too much effort in. So right here, I have my Awakening proc, but we're not in a damage phase, so I really don't want to be spending this yet. I want to wait until there's a bigger damage event. That being said, I ended up pressing it, and that was a mistake. So important to learn from our mistakes. I should have held it there and instead used it on this pull-in that happens right now. Fortunately for me, our raid decided to end anyways and betray each other. So the poll kind of ends here, but yeah. Hopefully this gives you guys a good idea of how I play Lightforged Avenging Crusader build. And if you guys have any questions about the build, please leave them in the comments below. I will make sure the build is linked in the description. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching.